This episode is brought to you by Indeed. Stop waiting around for the perfect candidate. Instead, use Indeed sponsored jobs to find the right people with the right skills fast. It's a simple way to make sure your listing is the first candidates see. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs have 4 times more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. So go build your dream team today with Indeed. Get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
AI is incredible. It can teach you how to fry an egg and even write a poem, pirate style. Yarr! But it knows nothing about your work. Slackbot is different. It doesn't just know the facts. It knows your schedule. It can turn a brainstorm into a brief. And it doesn't need to be taught. Because Slackbot isn't just another AI. It's AI that knows your work as well as you do. Visit slack.com/meet Slackbot to learn more.
Hi, this is Dr. Willie Jolley, and I want to welcome you to the new and improved Willie Jolley Wealthy Ways podcast. After many years of interviewing the best and brightest thought leaders around the world on my SiriusXM show, I am excited to now have those interviews available to people around the globe on this podcast. So many people would write us and say, I love what I've been hearing about your interviews with these great people. Where can I access them? I live in this country or that country, or I don't have access to that technology. How can I get the information? Well, I'm so excited now that we are able to offer the information and the interviews free on this podcast. So we want you to sit back and enjoy this message and let me know how you like them. And then do me a favor. If you like them, send a review, write a review and post it. And if you like it, hit like on here and share it and tell everybody you know about it, and then subscribe to this podcast so you'll get the alerts when we post a new interview episode. Thank you for listening and enjoy the Willie Jolley Wealthy Ways podcast.
Named one of the outstanding 5 speakers in the world.
Inducted into the Speaker Hall of Fame.
Award-winning singer.
Best-selling author.
And now, here's Willie Jolley.
Hey, everybody, it's a great day. This is Dr. Willie Jolley, and yes, I have only just a minute, only 60 seconds in it. Forced upon me, can't refuse it, didn't seek it, didn't choose it, but it's up to me to use it. And I'm going to use it wisely and wonderfully today because I want to ask you, what would you do if you were imprisoned for 5.5 years in a POW camp and you were tortured, and yet you came out of that situation and you created a world-renowned leadership training operation, and you teach people how to not let crisis create a mess in your life, but to grow you, build you, and help you succeed. This is going to be a show that will change your life. You're going to want to stay around for this one with a former POW, a real American hero, the one and only Lee Ellis. Well, folks, I'm so grateful to have you, and I'm grateful for you taking time out of your schedule to listen to this show. You know, I bring the best and the brightest every week to try and help you grow and go to the next level. And I'm grateful for you for making this the number one self-help to grow your wealth show in America and a top 5 download podcast globally. Wow. It's not because of me. I'm just making sure I'm a conduit to give you great content, and you have made it a popular show globally. And I want to thank all the people I met in Barbados recently, where I spoke there for the Caribbean Association of Insurance and Financial Advisors for their annual Congress. All of those who say, I listen to your podcast and I love your message. Thank y'all. Well, I want to thank all of you, all of the listeners, all of our community. I want to thank Truist Bank for being a tremendous partner who has supported this show over many years because they saw the value in getting a message of hope and possibility out to people, and they loved the message. So I want to thank Truist, and I want to encourage you to support them. Go to Truist, TRUIST.com, and you'll see why they have a simple motto. When you start with care, you build a different kind of bank. Truist Bank. Finally, I take a moment. This is last but not least, but every show, take a moment to give God some glory, to give him some praise, to thank him for life and strength and health. I am so grateful. And there's something powerful about gratitude, folks. Gratitude, finding something to be grateful for. Well, I'm grateful for so many things. I'm grateful for life, and I'm grateful for health and strength. I'm grateful for family. I'm grateful for friends like my guest today. I'm grateful that I get another shot at it. Every morning I wake up, I win the lottery. I win the lottery, and you do too. So be grateful. It's something powerful about gratitude, and give God glory. Because when praises go up, blessings come down. And I say it every week. God's gift to you is life. Your gift to God is what you do with it. So do something extraordinary with it. Well, my guest today is, as I said, a real American hero. He is Lee Ellis, a retired U.S. Air Force colonel, author, speaker, consultant. He gained notoriety when, as a fighter pilot in the Vietnam War, he was shot down, captured, and spent 5.5 years as a prisoner of war in the Hanoi Hilton. He was at the same Hanoi Hilton as former Senator John McCain, who wrote the foreword for his book, by the way. And so he was one of the youngest members in the camp. He is an international speaker, consultant on the subject of leadership and human performance. He has written numerous books, but many companies bring him in from around the world to get his leadership training and leadership techniques. He has built a massive following, and I'm just so grateful that I am able to get on his schedule to have him here today. His name is Lee Ellis, and he is the author of the book, Leading with Honor, Leadership Lessons from the Hanoi Hilton. Lee Ellis, thank you for making time today to be with me.
Great to be with you, Dr. Willie. I've seen you from the audience on stage, but, it's only recently that we've gotten to know each other really well.
Well, I'm honored to call you my friend now, and I'm glad that we have connected, and I'm so grateful that you were able to make time in your schedule to be on with us. Well, let me let you tell the story about your life, because you were a young guy in your early 20s when you became a world-renowned or world-honored fighter pilot, and you had over 50 missions, and on one of those missions, though, you got shot down. Tell us where you came from and how you got to be, what made you the notoriety of being a prisoner of war at the Hanoi Hilton.
Yes, I grew up and I'd always wanted to fly. And since I was 5 years old, my family went down on Sunday afternoon, went down and had a picnic at the Memorial Club Park in Athens, Georgia. That's where I grew up, right outside of Athens. And there was a World War II fighter plane there. And my dad picked me up and sat me on the wing. And I stood up and walked over and looked in the cockpit. And ever since then, that's what I wanted to do. So I played football and sports. I lettered in 4 sports in high school, but it was a small school. And I didn't make it as a quarterback at the University of Georgia, but I went there. I enrolled in Air Force ROTC. That was really the start of my career. 3 days after I was graduated, I'd finished my last class. I was sworn in and I went to flight school. 53 weeks later, I had an assignment that said F-4 Phantom Pipeline, Southeast Asia. Now, the F-4 Phantom was a 2-seat fighter bomber, and I was excited about doing that. And so I went out to California, in the high desert of California between Los Angeles and Las Vegas. And there was a base there then. And we got qualified and did all the bombing and strafing and air-to-air combat training. actually a lot of stuff they do in Top Gun now.
Oh, wow. Wow.
It was near where they filmed Top Gun. So when I watched Top Gun, I told my wife, I said, that's me. That's me.
Wow. 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 Well, you wrote a book. The book is called Leading with Honor. And let me tell folks, this book is just fantastic. It's actually 2 books in one. The first half of each chapter, he's got lessons and chapter lessons in each chapter. But in each chapter, it's a topic where he tells about his story in getting captured, and then the torture and the whole process from being captured, from the day he got captured to the day he got released and came back to America 5.5 years later. But that's the first half of each chapter. The second half is the lesson he wants to share with you about how to not let your crises keep you from being incredible or have great success. And so the book has been named a winner of the International Book Awards Business and Management category, a winner of the Indie Excellence Awards Leadership category, and Publisher Weekly called Leading with Honor moving, inspiring, and business book summaries describe it as a gripping personal narrative whose lessons will help leaders at all levels. I mean, I love this book. I could not put it down. It's so powerful. Well, I want to ask you a question, Lee. What inspired you to write Leading with Honor, and what impact do you hope it will have on readers?
You know, over the years, I launched a leadership consulting and training company when I retired, and I had become an expert in assessments. And so I used those personality assessments, but people kept saying, well, Lee, when are you going to write a book? You got stories, man. You got stories. When are you going to write a book? And I had written a book about career planning back in the 90s. And so finally, in 2012, this book came out. I finally sat down and wrote it. And I said, you know, what was important for us? We learned a lot of lessons, and I broke those lessons out to leading yourself and then leading with others. The first 6 chapters are leading yourself. The last 8 are leading others. And so I said, well, I need to tell some more stories because people want to hear that, and how that war story is actually a leadership lesson for us today. And so that's what I did, and it's been going well ever since.
Oh my God, this is a great book. Folks, this is a bestseller. It's called, again, Leading with Honor, Leadership Lessons from the Hanoi Hilton. I've got this book throughout, and I have it earmarked, written up. I got notes in it. In chapter 1, it says, know yourself. And he starts with a quote by Shakespeare that says, this above all, to thine own self be true. And it must follow as the day, the night, and the night, the day. Thou cannot then be false to any man. And you talk about in that chapter, you got to know yourself, and you tell how you started that day back in 1967, November the 7th, and how y'all were out going for a bombing run, and things did not go as planned. You got your plane was shot down, and you landed in a area where you thought you could make it to escape, but you looked up and you were surrounded by the Viet Cong. Isn't that what happened?
Yeah.
And how did know yourself play into that?
Well, you know, when you're captured in an enemy territory and you could be shot, and you weren't shot right away, and they surrounded me and captured me, and they stripped me down and inspected me, and then they gave me back my flight suit but no shoes, and then they blindfolded me and tied my hands behind my back, and they put a rope around my neck so they could lead me along like a dog, you know. And I could see out from below that blindfold, I could see the ground where I was walking barely about 4 or 5 feet in front of me. And they were pulling me along. And so, you know, immediately before, when I was ejected from that airplane, I ejected and my parachute came out and I parachuted down. I was still very much thinking about what I should do and how I should do it. I did a perfect parachute landing fall when I hit the ground, and I jumped in and I called my wingman on my phone. I had a
Hold that thought. I want to hear the rest of the story. And I want to hear I've heard about this gentleman this guy who was on the Viet Cong, who became someone who saved your life. We'll be right back. This is Dr. Willie Jolley on the Willie Jolley Wealthy Way Show. And for sure, the best is yet to come. We'll be right back.
Friendship is not about being convenient. It's about being committed and consistent. You can call on me when you need me. Call me. You can call on me. Call me. You can call on me. Pick up the phone. You can call me.
Hey, this is Dr. Willie Jolley, and support for the Dr. Willie Jolley Wealthy Way Show comes from Truist Bank. When you start with care, you get a different kind of bank. Home ownership is a blessing. That's right, it's a blessing. And the ability to build equity, value in a home that you own can be the foundation of creating wealth. Wealth that can be passed on for generations. Truist believes that a path to home ownership exists for you. I hear people say, well, I don't see how I could ever own a home. Well, Truist can help you buy a home with a low down payment. Connect with a Truist teammate to learn about the options available to you. Reach them by calling 855-257-4040, 855-257-4040. They really care. You can also visit truist.com/homebuyer, truist.com/homebuyer to calculate your mortgage payment. That's truist.com/homebuyer. Truist Bank is an equal housing lender. Remember, visit truist.com/homebuyer or call 855-257-4040. And we're back. This is Dr. Willie Jolley on the Willie Jolley Wealthy Way Show and podcast, heard around the globe on America, and now in Canada and other countries. You can hear the radio version, but you can get the podcast globally at the Willie Jolley Wealthy Ways Show or the Willie Jolley Wealthy Ways podcast. And I want to encourage everybody to go to winwithwillie.com, winwithwillie.com, where you can get resources that will help you free. Some of them are free. You can also get those resources that you can invest in your future, but you can also get the daily 1-minute messages and my weekly newsletter that we send out once a week on these great shows that I get these great guests and the lessons that I pull from those interviews and how I sometimes hear things that others don't hear or catch things, little points, little tidbits that can help your success. Go to winwithwillie.com and take advantage of all the resources there and sign up for my Willie Jolley newsletter. You'll be glad you did. My guest today is Lee Ellis. And let me tell you a couple things about him in this book. This is a piece that I read and found online, that Leading with Honor, Leadership Lessons from the Hanoi Hilton by Lee Ellis is a powerful memoir and leadership guide that draws on the author's personal experience as a prisoner of war in North Vietnam, captured during the Vietnam War and held at the infamous Hanoi Hilton, which they named it the Hanoi Hilton because it really was a terrible camp, but they tried to give it a way that it wouldn't sound like the death hole. Anyway, for over 5 years he was there. He recounts how he and his fellow POWs endured extreme hardship, isolation, and torture, all while maintaining a sense of honor, discipline, and leadership. So Lee finished telling us that story. So you were And you parachuted down. And one more thing you said that you didn't mention earlier, that there were bullets whizzing by while you were coming down. I mean, they were trying to shoot you in the parachute, but you survived that, got to the ground, thought you could escape, and then you were surrounded by Viet Cong. Then what?
Yes. Then they blindfolded me, as I said, and tied me up and blindfolded me. And they put a rope around my neck, and they were pulling me along. And we walked about probably a mile, a few minutes. And then I went into an underground cavern, and I heard somebody breathing in there. And I said, "Is that you, Ken?" He said, "Yeah, is that you, Lee?" And I said, "Yes." And we were both partners in the F-4, two people, crew members, both pilots in the F-4. And they came right in about 30 seconds later and separated us, and I didn't see him again for 2 weeks. But the guy in charge of me, of capturing me, and right after they captured me, he was in charge of the militia, and he was to take me north on the way to Hanoi and turn me over at a prison camp that was kind of a halfway house, so to speak, that they brought prisoners into in traveling up to the north. But this guy was a really good man. He was a part of the militia. I think he was a Christian, but he had to serve the communists because he had no choice. But he treated me like he protected me. He wouldn't let the people beat me up. The village to village we went on the way up there. And it was just amazing what a good guy he was. And he was always very strict with me, but he wouldn't let anybody beat me up and abuse me like that. So that's amazing thing was 2 years ago, another fellow went over there back to Vietnam. About half of us have been back to Vietnam, and we love the Vietnamese people. We just don't like the communists.
Right.
And so the guy his guide was a Vietnamese there near where I was shot down and captured. And so the guide contacted me on Facebook Messenger and reached out to me and said, "Hey, where were you shot down?" And I told him, and he came back, and he had actually gone to locate the person that was responsible for taking me north. That guy passed away at 82 or 83, 4 or 5 years ago, but his wife was still there. And I had to spend the night, 2 nights in their home, which was a underground dug-in place. They had moved out of their home near the beach there. And I spent the night with them 2 nights, and I slept between what was a 2-year-old. I didn't know it was a boy or girl, but now I know she's 50-something years old, and she was a daughter.
Wow.
My wife said, yes, he was a pretty good soldier. She said he had eyebrows that went all the way across. I was young then, and I had solid black eyebrows all the way across.
Wow. So that's amazing how this guy took care of you, kept people from beating you up, and protected you, and let you become part of his family for like a house guest for 2 nights. And then later on, his wife remembered you. That's an amazing story. Well, you wrote this book, which I just think, folks, is an incredible book. It's again called Leading with Honor. And one of the things that you talk about in the book is the code of conduct, and that it's critically important for people who are in crisis to have values and to have character. Talk about that a little bit and how that helped to keep y'all all as a community of POWs focused.
Yes. We had all memorized the Code of Conduct, which is 1 page long. It's 6 articles. Each one is about a sentence or 2. And basically it said you will be faithful to your country. You will not collaborate with the enemy. And you will be faithful to your teammates. And you would resist torture, to resist giving them information. And so there were 6 articles, and so that's what we did. And we would take torture in order to resist them And eventually you would probably give in. 99% of us gave in at some point. So everybody gave in. And it could be one guy would last 8 hours, and one guy would last 2 hours, and one guy would last 4 hours and 6 hours. And so we all were ashamed when the first time we were tortured and gave in, but we never gave them anything that was reality. We lied about it.
Yes.
We put down false stuff. I was tortured to to fill in a 3-page biography. It had questions on it, and I answered every one of those questions after I'd been tortured. But the only one that was accurate was my father's first and last name, because I hoped someday to write him a letter, or my mom and dad a letter back home. But everything else was a lie, and that's what we did. And we just resisted them. But I was so ashamed that I cried. I was tied up, laying there in that torture room, and I was crying like a baby because I couldn't beat them. Well, I get back to my cell, and there's a guy who's already been back there a couple of hours. He didn't last as long as I did, but I didn't last as long as Captain Fisher, who was my senior ranking officer, and he was a tough guy. He's a wrestler, New York State wrestling champion in the 50s, and he was a tough guy and a great leader, but he lasted several hours longer than I did, but he came back. And then later, he said to me, I'd been tortured again on something else. And he said, Lee, you did the best you could. And we all have done that. And you got to bounce back and, come away from that with honor. And you've done the honorable thing. You resisted. You didn't give them any help. And you bounced back.
Amen. Well, resilience is one of the things you talk about in the book. But just as a matter of information, you were in a very small fraternity of American heroes, of which I have developed relationships over the years with some of them. Of course, Charlie Plum is a great speaker, as you are a great speaker. He is part of the National Speakers Association. He's been on this show. He's a friend. Jerry Coffey was one of the longest held prisoners of war. And Jerry became a world-renowned speaker who became very, very popular. And I was honored that when he passed away just a couple years ago, his wife called me and said, Jerry would have loved if you would speak at his memorial service at the Naval Academy. And I did. I went to Baltimore or Annapolis to speak. I went there. And then when he was buried at Arlington National Cemetery, she called again and said, everybody loved your message so much. Would you give the graveside eulogy at his internment? And of course I did. So I'm still very honored by that. I also met Mr. Cherry. Was his first name Bob? What was it? Was it Bob Cherry, the African-American prisoner of war? Yeah. Okay. I met him one night at a restaurant, and he had a POW jacket or something. And I said, are you a former POW? And he said, yes. I said, I didn't know there were any African-American POWs. He said, yes. I think I was the only one or one of the few. But when I mentioned Jerry Coffey and I mentioned all the others I knew, he said, oh, they were all my compatriots. And we had so you really did do something incredible, but you made it a point. Here's the thing that I want to tell everybody. He made a point of making his attitude line up with his situation. And that's a choice. Viktor Frankl, who was a Holocaust survivor, but he was in Auschwitz, or one of the terrible camps and in World War II. He became known for his writings about attitude and staying positive. I love this quote from Viktor Frankl. It reads, everything can be taken from a man or a woman, but one thing. It's the last of the human freedoms. It is to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances. That's your choice. We are encouraging you to choose, no matter what you're going through, to stay positive. We're going to take a quick break for station identification. This is Willie Jolley on the Willie Jolley Wealthy Way Show. We'll be right back. Hi, this is Dr. Willie Jolley, and I got an email from a gentleman in Australia who shared how he had been struggling in his business, and he bought some of my books and audios, and how it had a profound impact on his business, and he went from worst to first in his company. I shared with him how much I appreciated his note, but I told him those books, those audios, those videos were not just something that I just thought up one day and started to write. They were born out of my experiences, out of the challenges of overcoming the problems and the difficulties and how I was able to do it. And I shared with him that others have sent similar messages and that these resources work. I want to encourage you and invite you to go to my store. Go to wjspeaks.com/shop. wjspeaks.com/shop. Get some of the books. It only takes a minute to change your life. Or a setback is a setup for a comeback. Or turn setbacks into greenbacks. Or chicken soup for the soul. Or an attitude of excellence. Or the book I wrote with my wife after 34 years of being married and not having an argument in over 30 years. We wrote a book called Make Love, Make Money, Make It Last. And now it is saving marriages all over the globe. Go to the store, get some of the audios, the videos, the books, the resources to help you have greater personal and professional success. This is Dr. Willie Jolley. Make this a great day on purpose. And we're back. This is Dr. Willie Jolley on the Willie Jolley Wealthy Way Show and podcast. I want to take a moment right here to take a great opportunity and make it a part of this messaging that you know about Truist Bank and their impact on people's lives around America. Two banks, BB&T and SunTrust, came together to create this new bank, Truist, and they had one goal: to help people to create lasting financial success. And so they started by saying, we want to help more people get homes at a low down payment. And they have created a whole program to help people get low down payment loans. If you just visit truist.com/homebuyer, truist.com/homebuyer, you will be able to get information on current rates, get a sample mortgage payment using the calculator, and find resources to help you buy a home. And you can talk to a Truist mortgage professional about your loan options. Having that relationship can help you get the best financing options available to you. Remember, truist.com/homebuyer. And when you start with care, you build a different kind of bank. Truist Bank. Well, my special guest today is Lee Ellis. And what a joy and honor to have a true American hero on the show. He was a POW in the Hanoi Hilton for 5.5 years. And he was captured after his plane was shot down. After 50 missions, he got shot down, and he went on to get through that process, because some didn't make it. Some did not make it. And he got through that process. And when he came out, he decided he was going to help others to learn how to lead better as a result of what he learned. And he has written a book called Leading with Honor: Leadership Lessons from the Hanoi Hilton. Before we go any further, Lee, please tell people where they can get this incredible book.
Well, you can get it everywhere. Amazon, all the book companies have it, I think. And you can go to leadingwithhonor.com and check it out there. And if you want to order one from there, from us, you can do that. But we have a special offer going on, I think, in May for two of the books together, Leading with Honor, Engage with Honor. You can get a 30% discount in May.
All right. So, folks, get this. Go to leadingwithhonor.com, leadingwithhonor.com. Get the books. And then if you want to, you also have, I believe, Lee, you have some sort of white paper or some sort of training option that you give people on your website. What are some of the things they can get on your website?
Oh yeah, I have a bunch of I build models. I built a lot of models of leadership, and so there you can download those models, but you can also download the honor code, which we'll talk about a little bit later. You know, we had the code of conduct, and after a few years ago, I designed the honor code, which is 7 articles, and it's on one page. You can download that. And a lot of things you can download there. And I do a monthly coaching. I'm coaching March, April, and May on resilience. And next month in June, I'm going to be coaching on honor.
Honor. Why don't you give me some of the points in the honor code, please?
Well,
just a couple of them.
Yes, sir. Always tell the truth.
Okay. It makes a big difference, doesn't it?
Yes. Be true to your values. When you are with someone, you've got to believe in them and trust them, but you got to push back when you know it's not going to happen. So,
okay.
I have one right here. Here it is right here.
Got it. For those who are watching the video version of this interview, you'll see the honor code. And for those who are on the audio, it's 7 of them. And let me see. Tell the truth. Treat others with dignity and respect. Keep your word and your commitment. Be ethical. Act responsibly. Live your values and be courageous. Oh, come on now. Now, be courageous. Let's talk about that.
That is in the middle.
That's right. It's in the middle.
We learned in the POW camp, you've got to be courageous. Even if you eventually get beaten down, you got to be courageous.
And courage. I often tell people in my books and my events and my programs and on radio, courage is not the absence of fear, is it, Lee?
No. You've got to. You know, there's another guy who taught at West Point, and he's a retired Army guy, but he's a lawyer, and he's written a book about courage, and he calls it swimming across the river of fear. You can only maintain your commitments to honor on one side of the river. You can only maintain them by swimming across that river of fear. And that takes courage. It's the only thing that will get you on the other side where you can be safe with your characters, the characters that you believe in.
And look, folks, I'm not telling you anybody that courage is going to be easy. And I'm not telling you anybody that it's something that you can just flippantly make the decision. It's a hard decision, but it's a necessary decision to be courageous and have courage and to go forward in spite of your fears. And I want to encourage you to have courage. Now, in one of my books, I think It Only Takes a Minute to Change Your Life, is a story about 2 brothers who were going along, Faith and Courage. And Faith and Courage were trying to help people while 2 other brothers, Fear and Doubt, would go around trying to hurt people. And Fear and Doubt would knock on people's doors. When the people open the door, they'd rush in and steal their dreams, their goals, their aspirations. They went from city to city, stealing people's hopes and dreams. Well, one day they came to the home of Faith and Courage. They knocked on the door, and the door swung open. And when Faith and Courage opened the door, there was no one there. They looked up the street and down the street, because in the face of faith and courage, fear and doubt must always disappear. And so in the book, on page 36, you talk about faith. You say a few of our buddies had more positive thoughts than the others. Some were pessimistic, and they frequently contributed their dose of negativity, but we tried to give them positivity. And they were encouraged by James Stockdale, who ran for vice president, I think with Ross Perot, if I remember correctly. But he ran for vice president. He wrote a piece that said, "You must never confuse faith that you will prevail in the end, which you can never afford to lose, with the discipline to confront the most brutal facts of your current reality, whatever they may be. It's going to take faith a reality, and then courage to say, this is a tough time, but I'm going to win. And one of the things you talk about in the book is you must fight to win. Am I right? Talk about that a little bit.
Yes, you must be willing to stick with your beliefs and your values and what you're committed to. And that's not always easy, but you've got to coach yourself every day to stay committed to what you're committed to.
And that's a process. But when you fight to win, here's something he wrote in the book. I like this. Life is a fight. Itself is a fight. At virtually every turn in life. To win in sports, the athlete must fight against the limitations of the body and the efforts of his competition or their competition. To win the new job, the candidate must fight for the interview and for the offer. To win at home, the spouse or parent must fight against the natural human traits of selfishness and pride. Even to win in a simple game of chess or bridge or golf, the player must fight with tenacious concentration. You can't get distracted. Nothing worthwhile in life comes easy. Some days you will feel good and some days you won't. But regardless of feelings and circumstances, you must take up and make up your mind to persevere. If you want to be victorious, you must decide in advance to fight to win. That's what the senior leaders did on the base. I mean, in the POW camp, they went first. They set the high bar, and we tried to follow behind. And to win in life, you must want to win, and you must fight to win. Ooh, this is so good. Oh my goodness, this is so good. Lee Ellis, I love this book, and I just couldn't put it down. Now, how did the POWs maintain unity and discipline in such harsh conditions?
Mainly because we were all committed to the same focus, leading with honor, because our motto was resist, survive, return with honor. Resist, survive, return with honor. And then after the torture stopped, after about 3 years that we've been there, it just became return with honor. But we were always dedicated to the code of conduct, to each other, to our country, and to being faithful to all of those. And we would take torture to do that. And so that's in the fact that you were in a community that was doing that way, and your leaders were setting the example. The leaders were tortured the most, and they had been there longer. And it was very interesting that our three senior leaders were there 7.5 years, and they were captured early in the war. And so they did such a great job. They were fantastic. And they set a great example, and the rest of our leaders set a great example. I had a really good leader, Captain Fisher. He was 8.5 years older than I was, and he was 30.5, and I was 24 or so when we got captured. And he was just a great example. He was tough. He was kind to us, and he just set a great example. He would resist the enemy. You know?
Wow. So one of the things y'all did too was communicate it, and you had to use creative ways to communicate. One of the things Jerry Coffey did in his keynote, when he'd do a tapping, and this is how we tapped. Talk about that for a bit.
Yes. POW number 5, Smitty Harris, who's 95 years old now and still lives in out there in upper Mississippi near Memphis, Tennessee. He was just a guy that brought it in. He's the guy that brought the tap code in. He had heard about it. He had memorized it, and he brought it in. POW number 5, he started sharing it with us. And so it got passed to all new POWs. The tap code got passed. Now it was a 5x5 matrix. So can you picture a square 5x5, and it's got lines, you know? So there's 25 boxes in that square. There's 26 letters in the alphabet, and so we had to leave out one. And when I found out the tap code, one guy came up under the window in my cell in the Hanoi Hilton, which, by the way, was built by the French in the 1890s. And
hold that thought. I'm going to come right back to that. Hold that thought. We're going to come back to the French and of that tap code. This is Dr. Willie Jolley on the Willie Jolley Wealthy Way Show, and for sure. The best is yet to come. We'll be right back.
Afraid of flying, I always kept my dreams on the ground. Life had enough ups and downs, but Lord, since I met you, all that's changed in the blink of an eye. Now all my heart wants to do is fly. You put wings on my dreams and overcame my fear of heights. Now how high will I fly? If I dare to touch the sky, oh, I'm flying. Where eagles only wish they could soar. I'm flying 'cause I put my faith and trust in you.
Hi, this is Dr. Willie Jolley, and people often ask, how did I go from a broke, busted nightclub singer to become a best-selling author and to be voted one of the outstanding 5 speakers in the world by the 175,000 members of Toastmasters International? The answer is that I decided to invest and change my thinking, invest in my mindset, and decided to change my inputs because inputs determine outputs. I heard about a seminar years ago when I was just getting started. I was making about $100 a speech. And I heard this seminar that was creating millionaires, and it cost $10,000, but the guy was getting results. I didn't have that kind of money, but I decided to borrow it because I learned that there's a price for success, the price of college, the price of going to school, the price of education. And there's a price for success, and then there's a cost for not paying the price, the cost of staying the same. And that cost is greater than the price. It's too expensive. And so I went and it changed my life. And I came back and quickly made $100,000. I heard a similar story from Dr. Dave Martin, how he went to a success rally, heard a speaker who inspired him. He and his friend said, wow, that's changed my life. The speaker had a package of materials to help build wealth. The package cost $1,500. And that was all the money Dr. Dave had to his name. Dr. Dave's friend asked, do you think this stuff is worth it? Dr. Dave thought for a moment. He said, I don't know. I don't know if it's worth it. But I do know that I'm worth it. I'm worth it. He invested that money in that package and used the materials to grow his thinking. He grew his mindset. He shared how that $1,500 investment has gone on to generate millions in revenues. He's a multimillionaire. And he has homes now in Arizona and Florida. I want to say to you, it's time to invest in you. I want to give you some materials that will help you, grow your mindset, grow your future, grow your finances. Go to wjspeaks.com/billionaire. wjspeaks.com/billionaire to get some materials that will inspire your success and help you find that there's a price for success, but there's a cost for not paying the price. And the cost is always greater than the price. Go to wjspeaks.com/billionaire and get the bag, the box, or any of the materials there and keep growing your wealth. And remember, as a man thinketh, so as he is, and your best is yet to come. And we're back with Lee Ellis, my guest today. This is Willie Jolley with Lee Ellis, POW, real for real American hero. You were telling about the French built that prison and the tap code in the Matrix, please.
Yes, so the walls were very thick, and there was a little window in my cell. I was in 6.5 by 7 foot cell with 3 other guys.
Oh, 6.5 by 7 foot cell with 3 other people, 4 people in a 6.5. That's the size of a small kitchen, or not even small kitchen, like a hotel bathroom or something.
It's like a gas station bathroom.
Wow. Okay.
With 3 other guys. It had a little window and about 10 inches high and about 18 inches wide. And I heard somebody talking English outside, And I jumped up and looked down, and there was this guy. He smiled at me and he said, "Hi, my name is Judy." I thought he said Judy, but it was Bill Chudy, T-S-C-H-U-D-Y. He said, "Do you know the tap code?" And I said, "No." He said, "It's a 5x5 matrix. A is 1-1, B is 1-2. And about that time, the guard came over and slugged him and dragged him away. And so I didn't know what the missing letter was. So I turned to my cellmates and said, "Hey guys, we got a 5x5 matrix. It's a tap code, but it's a 5x5. And one guy says, "Well, what's a missing letter? There's 26 letters in the alphabet." And I said, "He didn't tell me because he got dragged away." And so I said, "Well, it's probably Z. You know, Germans use a lot of Z's, but Americans, we don't use too many Z's. So it's at the end." So, well, we didn't, it worked for letters that had didn't go past K, because K was the missing letter. He used C for K. We found out about 6 weeks later, another guy got locked in our cell. He was my height and had black hair like me, and they put him in the wrong cell. They thought he was me and I was him, and they locked him in my cell, and they didn't notice. We said, "What's the missing letter?" And he said, "It's K. Use C for K."
Wow.
Now, what you would do is you would tap the row and then the column. So 5x5 matrix. So you want to say hi, you tap. That's 2 down and 3 across. That's H. And 2 down and 4 across is I. That's I.
Wow.
And so we got really fast. You know, we could tap.
Wow. And so you teach leadership to major corporations, trade associations. You teach all over the world leadership, and you have helped a lot of leaders to grow their success and have helped them lead with honor in corporate settings. What are some practical ways leaders today can lead with honor in corporate settings?
I think you have to know yourself to start with. You have to be true to yourself and know yourself. You know what your strengths are and what your struggles are and what you don't have the good, strong capabilities for. And you have to acknowledge that you don't have it all together and be humble. You got to be humble to be a great leader. You got to be confident, but you got to be humble.
It's a thin line, isn't it?
It's a thin line. And when you are secure and become more secure, and that's why we came home very healthy, because over the years we became more secure and we're outliving our peers and we've had great lives. But when you have doubts and fears, and everybody has those, doubts and fears, shame and guilt, those undermine your confidence. And you've got to, as a leader, I help people become more confident by encouraging them, believing in them, letting them know I care about them. That is going to help people become more confident, and then they'll become they'll just be able to perform better and be able to admit when they make a mistake. They say, you know, I shouldn't have done that.
You mentioned just now something I want to go back to for a moment. Many of the former POWs are outliving their age group, traditional age group, or the statistical. Many of them in their 80s, 90s. Am I correct?
The average age of the long-term POW is 5 to 8 years, because we didn't have any join us up there for about 3 years until the end of the war, and they started the bombing again. But the guys that were there 5 to 8 years, our average age is 86.
Wow.
Average age. And the ones of us living now, the average age is 86. And 25% of us are over 90. We have 34 guys that are over 90.
Wow. Amazing.
90 and above.
And that's due to making those decisions about attitude, about discipline, about valor, about courage, about honor, and making it cellular. It's just not a decision that you make at a conscious level or even a decision you make, well, I'm going to try this. You make it at a cellular level because it really, your life depended on it. And that's what I want people to learn, how important it is to have values, that these values are hard pressed and impressed into your spirit and in your core. Okay, you're coming to DC. You're going to give a speech. You give the speech. I come to hear you. I take you to lunch, and then we go over to Howard University or American University, my alma mater, or one of the other universities, and we go into a business class of young wannabe success stories. Tell them a few you got us. If you're going to be successful in business and life, here's some you got us, some things you got to do.
Well, you've got to understand what it is you're getting into, and you got to have people around you very quickly that can do things that you can't do and know things you don't know. And you've got to listen to them, and then you have to make a decision. And if it fails, that decision fails, you got to remember, bounce back.
Positive attitude.
I'm reading a book right now by a guy who was a Vietnamese. His father was a Vietnamese pilot in the Vietnamese South Vietnam Air Force. And he came to the States when he was 10 years old with his mother and 3 sisters. And he graduated from college in California, became a Marine helicopter pilot. And now he's the CEO of a big company. And he talks about having to bounce back several times. Many times he's had to bounce back. And that's what we did. His first business failed. He bounced back. He's got a very successful one now, you know?
Wow. Well, any closing thoughts for our listeners, Lee Ellis, on, first of all, again, I want you to tell them where they can reach you and your website and anything that you want to tell them about that, but also any closing thoughts on what they should be doing as we go through changing and challenging times to not let them beat you down, but to build you up.
I think you have to believe in yourself. I keep coming back to that. Nobody's perfect. You got to believe in yourself, and you got to coach yourself to live up to the values that you believe in. And day after day, you know, you got to do that, and you got to stay positive. Now, that's one other thing I didn't mention, that we stayed positive. We bounced back and stayed positive. When you suffer, you got to bounce back and stay positive, and that will help you do that. And you got to be in community to, you can't fly it alone. You know, it's going to be tough to be there alone. And so what we did, we got healed very well. We had very low PTSD, post-traumatic stress syndrome, post-traumatic, you know. Anyway, we have less than our peers who fought combat in the ground, and we're not POWs. We're outliving our peers. And I want to mention that we have great marriages. And I've written a book, Captured by Love, Inspiring True Romance Stories from Vietnam POWs, 20 stories in there, but they really capture a lot of the stories and the lessons that we all learned. And the number one thing in these great marriages is you've got to share common values and faith. And so that has helped us. We've had marriages 50 to 60 years. I was single when I came home. I've been married over 50 years now.
Wow.
And we've had wonderful relationships because we've learned to connect on our values, stay connected with people that share our values, and to have courage and just endure. Well, congratulations on 50 years. My wife and I will be celebrating 40 years in a couple of weeks. And so I want to congratulate you. And then I want to thank you for being part of this. One more time, where can people reach you? Leadingwithhonor.com, leadingwithhonor.com. And for the other one, POWromance.com. You can go there and download the first 2 chapters of that book. POWromance.com. I want to thank Lee Ellis for being my special guest. Thank you, Lee. Thank you, Dr. Willie. Good to see you.
Good to have you. Folks, I want to encourage you to take advantage of all the things that Lee has offered on his websites. Also, second, I want to encourage you to go to winwithwillie.com. I want to thank Truist Bank again for their support. I want to thank you again for your sharing this with everybody you know. Tell your friends, your family members. Get the podcast. And when you go to the podcast, the Willie Jolley Wealthy Ways podcast, do two things. Subscribe and share so that people will know what's going on. You'll get information first. As soon as the podcast is ready, you'll get first dibs on it. And then I want to make sure everybody take full advantage of all the things coming down the road. My new book, Rich is Good, Wealthy is Better. Pre-order it. Rich is Good, Wealthy is Better. It's going to be life-changing, help you to create wealth. If you want to create wealth and you want to help your family learn how to maintain it and sustain that wealth that you've created, this is a book you got to have, and everybody in your family needs to read it. So Rich is Good, Wealthy is Better. And then join us every Monday night, my wife and I, for our marriage show, the Jolly Marriage Show, 9 o'clock Eastern Time, every Monday night on A Jolly Marriage on Instagram, A Jolly Marriage on Facebook, and Willie Jolley LinkedIn Live. And thanks all the people around the world who watch and stay tuned on that show. We're so grateful. This is Dr. Willie Jolley on the Willie Jolley Wealthy Ways Show. And for sure, the best is yet to come. Have a great week, folks. God bless you.
Are you tired of crying and complaining? Tired of feeling like life don't treat you fair? Do you see so many others moving on while you're steady going nowhere? Have you maybe come to the conclusion that there's nothing at all that you can do?
Well, I hope you enjoyed this podcast episode, and I hope you got something of great value. And I hope that you were inspired, you were motivated, you were empowered, and you were encouraged to live your best life. I hope this information and this inspiration will help you to do more, be more, and to achieve more. That's the goal why I started this program, and I hope it helped you in a mighty way. Now, I ask you to make sure and that you take full advantage of all the resources that came through this program. I hope you go to wjspeaks.com/gift and get some of the free resources that we have there for you. I hope you go to wjspeaks.com/shop to get some of the books that we have created, that we've labored over to make sure that they will deliver a powerful message to you. I hope you go to williejolly.com/billionaire, williejolly.com/billionaire, or wjspeaks.com/billionaire to get the box that it will inspire your whole family, or get the bag of books. Make this a great day, a great week, a great month. And remember, it is true that you are blessed and all things are possible for them that believe. So make the most of the belief that you have now in your future. This is Dr. Willie Jolley. Have a great day.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.